Hello, everybody. Rob with WePayOffDebt.ca coming at you with another budget workshop. Really excited for this one. This is one of our newest members in the WePayOffDebt.ca membership. This is Alex and Kristy Sanders. Not their real names. A married couple in their mid 40s. And really unusual situation. They actually maintain homes in both Alberta and Ontario. Kristy lives in small town in Alberta and actually works for her city. And Alex is an artist in Ontario with no regular income. They have no kids, and today we're going to be making them a June 2020 budget. So with that, here we go. First up, income. Kristy, as I said, works for her city in Alberta, brings a great salary, $144,000 a year. It's paid monthly with a take-home of only $6,100 a month. So in June, expecting $6,100 a month. That may look like a lot, but she's got $3,000 in pension coming out, and then minus taxes. So yeah, half her money is going out in deductions. Brutal, but that's the way it goes. She is hoping to pick up a freelance job sometime soon, start making a little extra money. Alex, on the other hand, Alex has royalties of about $400 a year, but they vary so widely they don't even count them. And with it being such a small number and varying that wildly, I'm going to agree. I'm not going to bother counting them at all. But one key point about this that a lot of people forget: if it comes out that you're in the middle of June and all of a sudden Alex has some royalties that are going to come in, now all of a sudden there's going to be $50 or $100 that's going to come in. You have to add that to the budget. You go in the budget, you add the income, and then immediately you spend it. You have to get back to a zero-based budget every single time. Okay? Some other income stream, and this is where this gets really interesting. In June 2020, there is I think Kristy was the one who had a contract for $900. So that's coming in, great. But in June 2020, they are getting $149,000 cash from a commuted pension. So Kristy had left a job. She had moved from Ontario to Alberta, and when she did that, she had to commute her pension. And they sat down, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But okay, yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec. A couple other things coming up that they mentioned, so I sort of included them here. It's not going to get in the budget though. July 2020, $2,000 gift from a relative, and January 2021, there's going to be a $1,000 gift from a grandma. They don't even make it in the budget. That's one characteristic of a zero-based budget, is you only put stuff in the budget that's coming this particular month. You want to write those down somewhere and give yourself a reminder. But let's talk about the pension. So again, she moved from Ontario and moved to Alberta. And the advice, she actually sat down, they together, I think, sat down and got advice from an investment advisor. The balance was $357,000. The advice was to commute $208,000 to RRSPs, which was, I think, the maximum they were able to. And then the $147,000 was a cash payout. So here's the thing. This will actually be taxed. This was pre-tax dollars put into a pension. And so it's going to come out. It's going to get taxed. So they will pay taxes on this. Now, the usual recommendation that Dave Ramsey gives, and so I've copied him on that, is 25% you put aside for income. The problem is, though, when you look at Kristy's personal income for the year 2020, it is going to be almost $400,000. And the reason is because her salary plus the pension commute we're just talking about, plus there was a previous contract that happened earlier this year that when you add all those things together, she's got an income of $398,000 this year. That puts her in the top tax bracket across the country. And I looked it up. In Ontario, at the very least, the marginal tax rate for that point is 53%, meaning that every dollar she earns above a certain number, above $220,000, she would get charged 53%. 53.53% combined. That's federal and provincial. Combined taxes on every dollar that comes in. Now, if you don't know, that's the way taxes work in Canada. We have these different tax levels, and the way it works is that once you pass a certain point, everything above that is now taxed at the new level. And so in this situation, this $149,000 is all above the 220. And so it's all going to be taxed at 53.53%. So I figured out what that is. Now, I'm not a tax professional. Disclaimer, let's throw that right out there. I'm a mathematician. I enjoy numbers. I can do some calculations, but certainly you want to check your tax professional if you're in a circumstance like this. But 53% of this is about 80 grand. So whereas we normally say about 40 grand, 53% is about 80 grand. I think that's probably the maximum it would be. So I would put somewhere between 40 and 80 grand aside for taxes. To be safer, of course, err on the side of the 80 grand, because you don't want to put aside 40 and then end up owing another 40 in the spring when you do your taxes, right? So if we set aside 80 grand for taxes, 149 minus 80, that's $69,000 take home, which is still awesome. You still leave with $69,000 in your hand that you can do whatever with, which is cool. Now, the way I'm going to do these guys' budget here, I'm going to walk through everything as if that doesn't exist. And then I'm going to come back at the end and say, okay, now having seen what baby step we're on and what situation we're in financially, now we have a $69,000 added money. What do we do with that? So I'm just going to write it over here. I'll put it right in our notes here. $69,000 coming in. Okay. So that takes care of the income. That's it. Kristy and her contract, about $7,000 in June. Well, no, I guess that's true. The way we do a budget, we write down every income here. So what I'll do is I'll write down commuted pension after tax, and that will be the $69,000. But again, I'm not going to put that in there right now. I'll come back and add that after, and I'll leave it there at $69,000. All right, cool. So that takes care of the income. Next up, food. Now, this is pretty impressive to me. When I saw this, I actually asked them, I'm like, you sure? Like, two households living separately and you only spend $500 a month on food? They're pretty confident. So I said, okay, $500 it is. And that's it. Next up, let's walk through the four walls. So giving and medical, none there. Utilities, and of course they maintain two homes, so we got 2 homes worth of utilities. So we'll do home number 1 utilities, total there is $320. Home number 2 utilities, total there is $480. Okay, and you can see the numbers there. Housing, home number 1 is the house. Housing. The total of that is going to be the mortgage, $348. Property insurance, actually, I will separate those. Let's do it this way. Home number 1, mortgage, property taxes, and insurance. That's $348 a month, $265 a month, and $133 a month. And that mortgage is really low. And that jumped out at me right away. Like, what's going on there? And so it turns out they have this Manulife One account. Now, if you're not familiar, the whole idea is it turns your mortgage into a giant line of credit, essentially. And so what happens is when you get paid, your money comes into your account, it immediately goes against your house. Like, it pays off your house. So $2,000 paycheck comes in, it immediately goes against your house. And so your principal goes down, and so interest stops accruing so fast. But on the other side of that, every time you buy groceries, you're actually borrowing on your house to do it. It's a very unique product. I'd encourage you to Google it and look a little bit to try to understand it. The bottom line, I'm not a huge fan, and the reason there is because, well, you're just going in and out of debt over and over and over. Okay, this is what it comes down to, is the minimum payment on that. All right, so the Manulife One, essentially what you're doing there is you're borrowing on your house. You're paying off your house, and then you're borrowing on your house. And you're paying off your house, and you're borrowing on your house, constantly back and forth. So again, look up if you're interested. Home number 2, rent, $1,275. Now on that one, I did not get any number from them on rental insurance, and that is a pretty important thing. So I would definitely want to know what's going on there. I'm going to go ahead and put something in there just because I think it's that important that if you don't have it, you get it like this month, right? So I'm going to put in there $30. Okay, it's rental insurance is pretty cheap, but I mean, just think about it. If a fire burned down the building, the owner's insurance covers the building drywalling out, but everything drywalling in is you. Okay, so anyway, next up, so you got utilities is number one. Second is your housing. Third is transportation, and so we have car insurance, which is only $200 a month. I guess that's only one vehicle. Gas. Oh no, it must be two vehicles because we got two people worth of gas. And then car loan payment. So they do have a car loan. So what baby step are we in? Well, we don't know if we're in baby step 1 or 2, but we don't know how much money we have saved at this point. But we're certainly going to be in baby step 2 after that pension comes, for instance. Car loan payment is $464 a month. That is not cheap payment. Okay, clothing, nothing absolutely necessary right now. And insurance, we've got life insurance. She wasn't sure on the details, and so this is something interesting to talk about, is to ask the question, how much life insurance do they need? Right now, they've got some amount of life insurance. They don't. Kristy didn't even know how much, and what it comes down to is it's $45 a month right now. That sounds like term. It could be a really small permanent whole life insurance maybe, but it sounds like term, which is good. That's what you want, term life insurance. But if you need life insurance, you want to aim for as much as 10 to 12 times your income. And the reason there is that if you have somebody that makes $100,000 a year, they die, you take a million to 1.2 for that person, and you invest it at 8 to 10%, and you're going to make back what they brought in. You're going to make back $100,000 a year, make back their income. That's the idea. You can replace their income if they die. But you have to first ask the question, do I need life insurance? And in this situation, especially with the $69,000 coming, might not need it, right? Now, while you're living apart like this, it might be a good idea to have a little bit, just because if one of you does, God forbid, die, then the other one would have to fly over, deal with all the stuff, and then fly home or whatever, right? However they work that out. Sell the other, get rid of the one apartment or sell the house. Either way, right? So it would be a big job. So I might keep some life insurance for now until all of this all this gyration. I mean, I'm assuming you guys are going to be living together soon. Until that gets worked out, I would probably keep a little life insurance just to deal with that. But you got no kids. And I think you've got some savings, if I'm remembering the numbers right. And that's the case. You may not need any life insurance. So you might just go ahead and cancel this. Okay, so you think about that. It's worth thinking about. If you do need life insurance, it might be low, right? If you need 10 to 12 times your income on each of you, well, 10 to 12 times on Kristy is high. 10 to 12 times on Alex doesn't have an income, really, right? So figuring out what that looks like, what would it take if Alex was to die, would Kristy be put out financially at all? If Kristy died, Alex might be in big trouble. So you might want a big life insurance policy on Kristy. Okay, something to think about. All important conversations to have. Good. That finishes off the four walls. Next up, debt. All right, we have a total of about $30,000 in consumer debt. We have the Visa. Minimum payment is not sure, and we got the car loan, and that's it. Now, it doesn't look like I was given any information about a minimum payment on the Visa. Yeah, it's not going to be much. I'll put, say, $30, maybe 35. Okay, let's call that the minimum payment on the Visa. And then the car loan is already there, $464 minimum payment. And it's actually $27,000 remaining, which is a lot, right? So this is a big debt load, $30,000. Their mortgage, so again with the Manulife one, it's a bit weird. There's a small regular mortgage, $24,800 at 2.79 fixed for 5 years, and a 3.05% line of credit at $91,000. So the mortgage is actually a total of $115,000. Now, here's some interesting numbers I ran here. If this was actually a regular mortgage, with an average, figuring out the weighted average of these two rates, the current payment of $348 a month, at this rate, you're only going to pay you're going to pay this off in 59 years. And this, I'm wondering, I don't know a lot of the details about a Manulife one, but I'm wondering if this is actually common, that people, because the minimum payment on the mortgage becomes so low, you just don't pay it off. I'd be curious to actually run some numbers and say, here's 100 people who had a Manulife one for the last 10 years. Take the balance they had 10 years ago and take the balance they have today. How much did they pay off? And how much would they have actually paid off with a regular mortgage, right? That would be really interesting to see. Do people in general pay off less because they've got a Manulife mortgage? But I digress. So that's something to think about. And so she brought up the maximum prepayment is $7,500 a year, that because we might actually throw some money at the house. Cool. So at that point, let's check the other. So that finishes off the absolute essentials. And we have a $2,675 left, freed up to be able to put towards discretionary spending or whatever baby step we're on. Okay. So let's check the other. All right. First off, we've got some necessary professional subscriptions. So for one of them, I'm not even sure who, they require for their job some subscriptions. And that is necessary for their job. And so I'm going to put it right in there, $125 a month. Then they've got a bunch of nice to haves. And what I've done is I've ordered these by dollar amount. And so they've got Beachbody, which is $33, Brain FM, Costco, CAA, all the way down to Disney Plus and Amazon Prime and Crave, which are $7 a month. But those little things add up, $136 in total. So I'm going to... I think we won't be too bad money-wise. So you know what? I'm going to do it like this. Nice to haves. And I'm going to either put them all in or nothing. Because $136 in a $2,000 left, it's not a huge deal. So let's leave that there for now. Then we have the dogs. And for whatever reason, this is where they put them. They did not put them earlier in the information. So we got 5 dogs, 3 with Kristy in Alberta and 2 with Alex in Ontario. Alex's dogs are $250 a month. Kristy's dogs are $350 a month. That's $210 a month in food, $90 a month in treatments, and $50 for extras. And so the total is about $750 a month on average. Wow, that's a big deal. Right? That's a lot more than your incidentals here, your little subscriptions. So now I'm not going to be the one to tell you to get rid of dogs. I'm not. But $750 is a lot of money. Now, that said, we're probably okay here because of the pension community, but so I'll put that in there and we'll see what happens. All right. Currently investing. Kristy at her job is investing $3,000 a month, as we mentioned earlier, into an employer match pension. So she's moved from one pension place to another pension place. We already put in $26,000 into RRSPs this year because of a previous contract that came through. That was the previous contract mentioned earlier. And so that fills up her RRSP room this year. And so here's where we're sitting. We've got $1,200 in a savings account. We've got $75,000 in the RRSP. We've got no other savings outside of the pension. And they mentioned some goals. They want to increase their net worth and get out of debt. Good. So this is where we're at. So we have an emergency fund. And right now, fund start. Right now, there's $1,200 in it. That's not good. We don't want $1,200 in an emergency fund. We want $1,000 in a starter emergency fund. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out $200 out of that fund. Okay? We're going to lower it down to $1,000. What that lets me do... Yeah. What that lets me do is I now have $1,864 to play with. And I've got $30,000 worth of debt. If we didn't have the pension commuted, what are we looking at here? Well, we're looking at $30,000 of debt divided by, if I throw everything left at the debt, that's $1,864 plus the $464 payment plus the $35 payment. We're out of debt in 12 months. Okay, so even without the pension being commuted, if we're disciplined and we're focused and we're intentional and we throw every penny we have left at the debt, we are out of debt in 13 months. Okay, so that's still pretty good. So that was the main reason I wanted to do this without the pension commuting, because a lot of people can look at this and say, they're just lucky or whatever. They have a pension commute. That'll take care of everything and they'll jump through all the baby steps. They will. But even without that, these guys are 12 months away, 13 months away from being debt free. Okay. So it's not like it's still impossible. And this is with one of them making an income, eh? Like she makes a good income. Yeah. But still, it's with a single person's income. If Alex goes and makes some money, this could really take off, right? And if they were in a place where they had $30,000 of debt, I would encourage Alex to, get some sort of job at this point. And even if it's a part-time work, because you want to spend most of your time doing art, you go get some part-time job somewhere and be able to throw extra money at the debt. Okay, so if you're saying debt is the enemy, you throw everything you've got at it and you get it done. All right, so being that we're now in the real life scenario, what are we going to do? Well, we're not going to take $200 out of the emergency fund because we have an extra $69,000 to play with. So what that does is that gives us $70,000 of remaining money this month. And this is exactly how you would do it. Wherever you're going to get the money, whatever month you're going to get the money in, you put that in your budget that month. And you spend it. And so where's it go? Well, we're going to finish baby step 2, obviously. Right? So the emergency fund will be done, but the visa will get, instead of getting $35, let's bring back up the debt. There we go. The visa will get the full $2,200. And instead of getting, where's the car loan? Instead of getting $464, the car is just going to get paid off, $27,800. See how I did that? Just literally put it right on what it's going to go on. When we do that, we still have $41,000 left. Okay, we just walk out the baby steps. We finish baby step 1, we have $1,000. We finish baby step 2, completely out of debt now, out of consumer debt. Baby step 3 is 3 to 6 months of expenses. Now, in this particular situation, because you've only got one income, I would actually err more towards the 6 month. Now, maybe you want to go 4 or 5 months, right? Because especially you don't have kids, so there's a lot of things to keep into mind there. But because there's only one person making a substantial income, you probably want to err over 3, right? Let's just suggest 5. Now, what are expenses? Well, for now, while you've got the 2 houses, that's all this. Oop, not that. That's all that. So that is a sum of $3,826. So let's just round off, call it $4,000 a month in actual necessary expenses. Okay, $4,000 a month in necessary expenses for moi. $4,000 a month, and so I've got $1,200 there. I want 5 months, so I want 20 grand. So I'm going to take $20,000 minus the $1,200 that's there. I need to put $18,800 into that fund, emergency fund, and I will have a $20,000 emergency fund sitting there. And won't that feel amazing? Right? Just picture that. $20,000 sitting in an account, and all it's doing, you're not investing it. All it's doing is making sure that you guys can continue to do what you want to do. You can continue to live what you want to live, right? Something happens, car breaks down, God forbid, house burns down, tornado, like whatever situation you're in, having cash around really helps. Okay, so that's I did that right? $4,000 a month. Oh, right, because the mortgage is so low. That's an issue. I forgot about that. So what I would do here, I'm going to pretend that this is a regular mortgage, okay? And if you've got a $115,000 mortgage, I did not work this number out beforehand. If you've got a $115,000 mortgage, let's actually figure this out, because the biggest I would recommend is a 15-year fixed rate mortgage. Now, right now you should be able to get a fixed rate pretty easy at 3% for 15 years, and the payment on that is $800 a month. Okay, so $800 a month will pay it off in 15 years, and so that's actually where I would move this payment to. I would move it right up to $800 a month. Okay. Now that does make the rest of your budget a little bit tight, but you won't have the car payment anymore, which was $400. So that takes care of it even right there. Okay. So what this lets you do is actually have a realistic plan to get the house paid off and quickly. That said, so that now affects your monthly expenses. Oh, and I didn't need to add in the dogs, did I? All right, let's be careful here. Let's get rid of the car payment, of course, and get rid of the Visa. And even with the nice to haves, where are we at now? There you go, $5,300 a month. Okay, so let's change that. $5,300 a month. And if I'm going to multiply that by 5, that is a $26,500 emergency fund. Subtract off the $1,200, and so we're putting that much into the emergency fund. So now, at that point, you'll have $26,500. That's 5 months of expenses. You're looking pretty good. So now we have $15,000 left. Where do we do with that? Well, you've already got a lot going towards retirement. You've got, oh no, what am I thinking? So now walking out the baby steps. Baby step 4 is we're going to start putting 15% of our income into retirement. Now that's not going to contribute to anything except 15% of your income. Okay, so the income in a year here is about, let's say $7,000 a month. Let's say $6,500 a month, maybe something like that. Oh well, actually, we can just use their income. Let's go back to that. There you go. So the yearly salary is $144,700. If I take that and multiply it by 0.15, I get $21,000 a year is what they should be putting away. They are already putting away a chunk, $3,000 a month, every single month going away. So if I take that away, that's 3,000 times 12. Huh? What am I missing here? 144,000 times 0.15. So that's the total amount per year. How much are you already putting away? $3,000 a month times 12. Yeah, we're already putting $36,000 away. Yeah, that's a big pension. That is okay, that seems really high. But what does that look like? The biggest downside with a pension is that you're never quite sure how well it's being run, and so they're not going to get the returns, and by law they actually can't get the returns that you can get in the open market. As well, because you don't know how well it's being run, it can go under. Now, you work for a city, it's a little less likely to go under. You're probably safer, and I've heard that there are some major safety nets in there for Canadians with pensions, so I'm not too worried about that. But you definitely want to have something going on your own. So let's say if I count it at half, that's $18,000. That's $3,000 total per year to do extra, and if I divide that by 12, that's $300 a month. So if you at least do $300 a month into retirement, in addition, and that would be in a TFSA, ideally, that would be something at least that you have control over. And if you do that for the next fair number of years, you'll actually have a fair amount at the end of that. Okay. And so that does a 300 there, and good. So what we're left with is 15,100. And so we're going to follow out the baby steps. Baby step 4 doesn't take any of that. You don't put any of that in retirement. Baby step 5 is kids' college, and you don't have any kids. Baby step 6 is pay off that house. And so I would throw it at the house. And in this month, you're going to put another $15,000 plus the $800. So we're looking at $15,900, almost $16,000 on the mortgage. And where are you at with the mortgage? You've only got $115,000 there, so we're actually bringing it down to $100,000. And so you'll have this paid off in no time, which is great. So, so that brings us through baby steps 4, 5, and 6. So you've got now a regular plan. I spent putting $300 a month into retirement in a TFSA in addition to your $3,000 a month that's going into your pension. 4, 5, and 6, that takes care of it. And we're paying off the mortgage at a relatively fast rate, especially now that we've lowered the principal. So the $800 a month is going to pay it off pretty quick. And I think that's everything. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. If you would like this done for yourself, if you'd like your numbers put together, this is one of the big benefits of the new membership that I put together. Check out wepayoffdebt.ca/membership for details on that. We'll leave it there. Have a good one. Good luck to you. Wish you health and happiness in this COVID season. Have a good one. We'll talk to you soon.